is something really, like you said, nobody's kind of shown the nitty gritty of how to do business in China and how it works, especially from, the real estate side and talking about having to, develop these relationships with all these officials and what you have to do to get your 157 chops, right? Or your seals, right? Like, it's really interesting because I think there's still this naivety from, American businesses, entire industries who go into China and they're like, oh, well, we're just gonna first it was, this industry, then it was, like manufacturing, then, private equity, now Hollywood, now it's just like wave after wave of these companies being like, oh, we can do it. It's just going to be easy. And then kind of but like nobody talks about what it's actually like because they don't want to harm their chances of doing business in China.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Although, maybe I can look at your book as like a how-to guide, because now I know how to do business in China. All I have to do is sacrifice my humanity, develop relationships with, hundreds and hundreds of party officials and make friends with their children, drink enormous amounts of Motai liquor until I'm almost dead. And I feel then I'll make it.
That's a very good go-to guy, and it actually works.
But I feel like the point of your book is it doesn't matter, even if you do all of that, if you do all of the right things, it's still going to come back to bite you because maybe the people you are developing guanxi with, they're in power now, but maybe someday in the future, a rival faction is in power, and then suddenly you're on the outs because you're connected to the wrong people.
So you're saying I should have read his book to the end?
That's why. I mean, every entrepreneur in China know the game they're playing is extremely risky, and the risk is not, have nothing to do with. It's not business risk. It's completely political. And just my employees, a middle class employee, the moment they start having some cash, they open an account in Hong Kong and stash some of that away. And then the bigger your business, the more you stash away, because you say, well, there's a lot of risk inherent, there's a lot of political risk inherent in this system. I don't know when they're gonna, take away my private property. Let's stash them away stash them away far away from the hand of the CCP.
So how much of this wealth is ending up outside of China and invested in the US in real estate or other businesses?
I wouldn't know the number, but it's a tremendous amount.
How about you yourself when you started to make a lot of money in China?
Yeah, I know. I showed it in the book. One of the conflict point between me and my ex-wife was how much we should, diversify away from China. She believed China has a brighter future. We should concentrate our bets. And I have a different view. So that's one of the friction point of our marriage.
I think that's one of the sad things about the story of your ex-wife is that, she obviously was a very motivated person. She obviously cared a lot about China, tried to rise up through the political ranks, thought that was corrupt. She seemed like she really, you would think a normal government would like somebody like that. Instead, she ends up disappeared.
I think that's one of the saddest part of, our experience is we really, if I may use the word patriotic, we really want to build something with China and for China. As I, talk about in the book, very early on, early 2000s, when we first start making some serious money, we start going to charity. I mean, in China, charity, there's no tax credit for it. I mean, it's a direct deduction of your net worth. And we have been over the years, sponsor academics. We give the library to Tsinghua. To my knowledge, today I'm still an honorary trustee of Tsinghua University. And then we really want to, help China, build China, and this is what we end up with. And this is just, it's a lesson for a lot of people, I think.
When was the moment that you became disillusioned?
I think it's 2-3 years into Xi Jinping's first term. So it's 2014. Well, I mean, it starts earlier than that. It starts, when, I talk about the party apparatus, the party, eventually that, I sold that company. And one of the main reasons I sell that company is it's just unmanageable. You can run a business like in that kind of situation. And then I may as well get some money out and then let's do something else. So I'm starting to have second thoughts about this path we are on. And then you look at Xi Jinping's situation, I remember vividly, I think the first year in his administration, I was a member of, CCPCC or something like that, the Political Consultative Party. I went to they call a meeting with many of us. And then essentially they said, well, okay, political consultative, supposedly there's a very prestigious political setup.
I mean, Jackie Chan is in it.
We're supposed to advise and sit on, advise the government or whatever. But basically he's saying that, basically democracy is not on the agenda by any means. Essentially, that's what he's saying. And then you listen to that, you're like, whoa, I thought we are going that way. Obviously, that door is shut and permanently shut.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting that you were on the CCPCC, the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. Conference. A lot of acronyms.
Yes.
So, but you're the only person we've ever had on our show that was in the CCPCC. So what is that like?
We are voting machines. Right? You go in there and everything passed by, let's say you have 600 something members. Everything, you have maybe 2 or 3 absentee votes, and then the rest is all agree, right? It's just like a motion comes up, you raise your hand. A motion comes up, you raise your hand. It's just a voting machine.
How do you all get so unified?
Well, because they structure the meeting and conference voting in such a way. So every time, a motion comes up, they say, okay, if you agree, raise your hand, right? It's a public vote. If you disagree, you raise your hand. It's like, hey, man, they're looking at you. Who's going to disagree, right? And then there are a few things in a year that say supposedly secret ballot. But they make sure everybody is a fixed lineup. It's like one lineup, you cannot say, well, I'm going to vote first. There's no such a thing. You're going to line up to the next guy, the guy before, and then you must vote after he has voted. Then they can retrace it back to you, whatever you're going to vote on. Right? So essentially, your vote is open to the party to look at and examine. And then if you say no, well, you know what's going to come down next.
Yeah. So besides the, being told what to vote, I mean, are there other privileges or, I guess,
what were the parties
downsides
like?
of being in the CCPCC?
What were the parties like? Is that what you said?
The parties. A lot of Mo Tai, I believe.
It's more like a social prestige. It's like you're like a recognized person of the society by the party. It's more like that. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of, I belong to the Hong Kong group. A lot of Hong Kong people in general actually don't understand the game very well. And a lot of them, they thought, getting into that will actually enable them to make guanxi. It's like, well, you don't know what game you're playing.
Did you meet Jackie Chan?
Or Yao Ming?
No. Not Jackie Chan. Who the heck would I care about Jackie Chan? It's I met Jack Ma when 1998, the first time he came out to raise money.
What was that like?
He was a very cocky guy. I remember I have a coffee with him, and then he was the coffee shop's window actually sees the building Goldman Sachs office was. And he was telling me, Goldman just agreed to give me $5 million. And I didn't even give them a business plan. I want 3 from you. And then obviously you're not going to get a business plan, right? I was like, what the heck is this guy? What he's talking about? I'm going to go back to my office, brings my boss. We're going to invest $3 million into this company. and then nobody gonna give a business, and then we're not gonna get a business plan. It's like, what the heck is talking about?
So did you invest with him?
No, we didn't.
Well, you missed your opportunity, and then you were probably glad later, right?
Yes and no. I mean, what happened actually in between, the 5 years, in the 5 years after that, I have coffee with him, this company almost bankrupt twice. And then, I remember that, I was talking to the Goldman people. So we invested eventually privately, in this all famous, infamous Ping An situation, right? We invested in Ping An Insurance. And Goldman was investor in Alibaba and an investor in Ping An. They actually want to sell Alibaba, but there's no ticker in the market. So they end up selling the Ping An share. So, it's who knows, situation, things happen. So it's history play out very differently from anybody can foresee.